I haven't got to the part about English Warbows yet.
Is that your autism test?
It's my autism. I get to choose a special interest.
Be careful. He will talk about this for 20 goddamn minutes.
Wait, hold the fuck on.
I thought
this isn't even a joke.
Yeah, this isn't a joke.
Okay. I'm buckling in.
Eli, I've known this.
Good for retention. It's not good for retention.
I've known this man for a couple of years, and he's been in my house for the last 3 days.
Yeah.
This will take 20 minutes.
This will take 20 minutes.
And our audience is autistic, so they're going to love this 20-minute segment.
Are you going to let him talk to you like that?
Are you really going to let him talk to you
You
like
better
that?
like this fucking video.
You better subscribe. Or unsubscribe. It's the name of the podcast. You can do whatever you want to do.
Wait. No, go on about this bow thing.
Well,
I
hold on.
Let
Let me preference this. So growing up, dude, I loved archery, and it was like my first thing that really sparked the interest in a lot of stuff. And I remember like I would always try and make my own bows growing up. Eventually, I got good enough to and I remember like 7th to 8th grade summer, I was up by a lake and I made a bow, and I finally spearfished a creature. I'm not going to say where because technically I think it still violates game and fish law. But I spearfished a creature with a
Statute
bow
of
that
limitations
I
is
made. You know
beyond gone.
Yeah, I smoked that fish, dude. It was sick. So then it's like eventually grew up, got into guns, airsoft, became a cop, did the whole YouTube stuff. And I had a day where I was like, dude,
The airsoft part was a weird.
well, it's part of the nerd. It's part
You're
of the
guns,
nerdism.
airsoft, police
Video
officer
games,
shit.
right?
Okay,
I
there
know.
we go.
It's all part of the nerd stuff, dude. There's literally a bunch of like anime titties around me, bro. Get out of here.
Skippy.
Talking about it. Yeah. So
Oh, there's plenty of anime in the unsub house. There are no titties.
you got me there. So it was like it was like the pipeline of interest. So I came back now. I was like, dude, I have disposable income. I could probably make an episode on this. So I bought an English warbow from Etsy, dude.
I love
I bought a
this so
100-pound warbow as like the gateway entry because I was like, dude, I've been working out since I've been in junior high.
Bro, that's a fucking metric shit ton.
That's for recurb?
Well, that's the bottom end of it, dude. That's the bottom end of the power spectrum of the bows.
Oh yeah, because the before we go on your tism, it is the steppe people, the Genghis Khan,
The Mongols.
The Mongols, they would have like those huge motherfuckers, and it's their style of how they have to pull it back.
All right, you're scratching my surface. All right, you're stealing my thunder. Let me get there. So you can kind of think of it this way. So the English warbow is kind of like the AK of the bow world. While
All right, you've got me back in.
and we're pulling them in, while
right.
the Mongol bow is more of the AR of the bow world because it's a little bit more. It's a little bit more complex to make.
I would have probably reversed that.
Well, here's why. Because the warbows are, it's still technically a warbow, I think, for the Mongols. If it's above like 80-pound draw, they consider that a warbow, I believe.
And then
So-
we were talking recurve bow?
It's a recurve bow.
Okay.
Yeah. So you got to think it bends different ways. There's a lot of like composite material in that. They're a little bit more complicated to make, but they are more efficient. You can shoot them from a horseback. They're not as big, but they have a lot of power.
I'm also going fucking tism tangent in this. What do you mean by composite material?
So I believe they took different materials and compressed them together to make those bows. I'm not like too familiar on that. While you take a war bow from the English, which is just a long bendy stick of yew wood. So now they would get those yew from, say, Spain, Italy, I think Switzerland, and they would use those as even taxes and import fees during the medieval era. Like they would request, like, hey, if you're a trader, you have to pay the import taxes in yew staves. So they would have like
Definitely
a
not
nonstop.
France.
Definitely not France. The French were like, hey, dude, the French hated English archers. That's where this came from. They would cut off the fingers.
I was going to go for that exact story.
They would cut off the fingers. So it's a very simple weapon.
You don't know that story?
No, I don't know about. I did not. Now my brain's like, wait, hold on, I don't know about
So this whole being an insult in France, or is it France?
Well, it's a British
UK?
insult.
Okay,
so
yeah.
they would throw these up to the French like, hey, I still got my fingers. I still got my bow fingers, because if they caught the bowman, they would cut these fingers off, so they couldn't work the yew bow anymore, or they'd just kill him, or they'd cut them off and then kill him, like in a sequential order. You know what I mean?
Dude,
So
back in the day, torture was
pretty gnarly, dude.
fucked
So
up.
you were basically just like fucking dabbing on the French, like, hey, I still have my
Right,
fucking bow
and
fingers.
still got my fingers, still got my fingies.
Okay, so composite.
And then you have your U-bow, much more simple to make, very simple to make, but they were beefy and thick. And they would have, I think there was a ship that went down in the English Channel under King Henry VIII's rule. And on that ship,
this right now.
they
Oh, you
found
are
a
autistic as
very thick bow. They found a very thick bow that I believe was like a 200-pound draw. So, but then this is where it even gets deeper in the debate, because they're
How
saying,
do you
well,
feed somebody in that era and enough to pull a 200-pound bow?
and that's the thing, dude. Like those guys were probably like what, 5'7" to 5'8". They're like for that height scheme of that era.
And they had a special technique to draw the heavy bows. I did watch a video on that. It was a special draw in order. It started low, and then how they positioned it and drove off the ground is how they.
Now,
This might be the first episode too autistic for YouTube
That's
retention.
true, dude. The retention beats are not there.
Or it's gonna be like 100. It just stays one. It's the first perfect episode on YouTube. YouTube's like, what? Call him now. What is it?
What did you do? We talked about bows.
It's just a perfect line. Let him cook. Let him cook.
We talked about bows in history.
They were so happy.
Yeah.
Christ, so we keep cutting you off. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
go,
You're
go.
fine.
I'm
You're
listening.
fine.
This
So
is
they
like-
found there's this argument where it's like, yes, it's a 200-pound bow, but do you think they would have left it beefy, and then they could have shaved it down a little bit to fit a specific archer's pole length? So it's all this stuff in the air. But that's just being said is that's like the max end of the power spectrum, is like the 200-pound draws. And they don't really know for sure. That's just off the wreckage they found from the era, and they had well preserved, like the soot and everything, preserved everything in that ship when they pulled it up.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you do find the deformed skeletons of archers from the era too, where their backs are just so weird and massive and their shoulders all different. But part of my theory was, could a modern American man, athletic-ish, growing up lifting weights, could he jump into and start
Did he
pulling
just
a
describe
warbow?
himself as athletic-ish?
Could he jump into and start pulling a warbow off, like at least on the bottom end of the spectrum to the 100 to the 105 scale? And I have done it, and like I can go rep for rep now. Is my accuracy the best? No, I mean, I'm pushing it now. I was shooting at like 70 feet, and I was able to hit the target, but I'm not like, because it's a lot of intuitive, it's a lot of intuition shooting. So you're like, you're not aiming, like you pull it back past your ear, almost over to here,
And then you're letting
and
go
you're just letting
instantly.
go. Yeah. Like you're not holding that arrow like it's the Lord of the Rings when they're like hold, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, and it's raining too.
You're drawing and loosing instantly.
Yeah, it's like you don't have, dude.
Draw
that's-
loose.
Oh god, yeah. Oh god, oh jeez.
Because nowadays people are used to compound bows where like all that pressure is released at the end.
Yeah,
and
they
you can
can
hold
sit
it
on
out
it.
here for
Yeah.
fucking half an hour.
And I think compound bows are cool. It's just not my flavor of the tism. So hence I have gone onto the warbow path.
Dude, I love
That
it.
is actually, now I get like that. That's me with like ARs and AKs.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
are ARs better at a lot of modern warfare things? Like, unmodified, absolutely.
Yes.
But AKs, it's like, dude, I dig the history behind it. Like that's just the way that mechanically works. Like that is just that's my flavor of tism.
And you crush it, dude.
Oh, too kind.
I know.
Even used to be your name. It was so beautiful back then.
Yeah, it's almost like I changed it fucking 5 years ago, and people still use it before they announce me for a fucking boxing match.
Here is the AK guy.
I love Cody's behind the scenes on that, where I'm just like, hey, be sure they use. I see everybody saying AK guy. I'm like, dude, that hasn't been my name in like 5 years. I'm like, I do other stuff now. Just if you could just use my name, they're like, oh, I'll make sure it happens.
We got
The
you.
AK guy.